Alright, good evening everybody. Back to a bit of EU5 this evening. We are playing the Danes. And we are playing Iron mode, so whatever happens, happens. So there's no possible saves coming, there's no going back. Choices made will remain. And we can just do our best to try to survive. Let me just do one thing. I forgot to start here. So we did start with the general strategy here with intent to invade Sweden to start with. And that was going pretty well at the very start. As in, we declared Sweden as rivals. So basically, I've been playing a few years just to kind of, get things set up and get started a little bit. And the intent was to then expand inwards here towards Novgorod. So take on Sweden and a bit of Novgorod. Now, Novgorod is much weaker than us, so that should have gone quite well. Sweden is similar to strength. Perfectly matched, right? So that was a setup I was alright with. But then, unfortunately, it turns out that Norway had other plans, so they ended up declaring us as rivals as well. So I had to switch my rivals from Novgorod and Lithuania to Sweden and Norway. We are a bit stronger than Norway, but I mean, they do have about 3,500 troops on top of the 6,000 here, so 9.5 rights. So slightly more than us. The hope here is that we'll be able to invade and destroy the Swedish army before the Norwegians arrive. And then force, basically grabbing part of Sweden here. I'm wanting to grab Scania here. We did sell off Aspo, Lahom, and Halmstad, I believe, for a bit of gold. So when you do start the Danes, you do start at a pretty large negative. And you push right into debt. So you actually start with about 300 ducats in debt. So it's a tough start. But I'm hoping to turn this around here, and with innovation into the Swedes, maybe we can force them to pay us out a bit of ducats. And we'll capture these lands, and with that, there is a... let me see if I can find it here. Not sure if it shows how to see it. But in any case, much like you have down here by Constantinople, there should be a map on to show it, but there's like a, a trade sort of, you control trade here. So through the straits. So anything that goes through, you're actually going to be, sound toll income, right? So you're going to be taxing anything moving through the strait. The same way, there should be one up here between Denmark and Sweden. And here it is. Sound toll income, right? So that's Helsingør. So we need to capture both sides of straits and hold that. And this is quite good though, because it's like historically based, and we're about to kind of play through these historical events ourselves in a similar way. Okay, so let's unpause now. We are kind of building up the spy network, so as soon as we hit 20 here, we're going to do our best to invade Sweden. And this is our ruler here, and you'll see him in the corner as well in the chat there, or on the window. We are also in a secondary war. Let's see, Chernobyl is clearing his arrival. That's fine. That's so far away. Not worried about that. We are also in a war currently, as we are allied with Bavaria, so we did join them in their war, but it's all the way to the south, and I'm not seeing any troop movements up north yet, so I'm not too worried. I think we should be able to continue our invasion in Sweden regardless. So at this point we're just kind of waiting. And dealing with anything that kind of pops up. We did have devastation in Narva, that's due to the plague. Influenza came up here. So we're hoping it's not going to spread too far. Just move this overlay a little bit here. Alright, that should be better. Four to go. So 6 months by the looks of it. So this boost of income we had is 250 ducats we got for selling you know, these 3 provinces back to Sweden, which is a historical event actually, so that's kind of neat. Divine guidance. The current period of uncertainty has been gnawing at the minds of common people. However, since our religious leaders recently took a stand, declaring these harsh times a test of our faith, matters have stabilized. People all over the kingdom are now finding comfort in their religious community. This is exactly what we need. We're trying to get stability back up to a positive as well. We can do something centralized here. Okay, that's probably good. We want to keep good relations with our neighbors to the south. Just turn down the music a little bit. Do like it in the background, but I don't like it to be overbearing at the same time. I hope that's okay like this. Alright, back we go. I'm hoping I can maybe, you know, raid for a bit of ducats, etc. We just kind of need it at this point. I did stop a number of buildings. We had some weapon construction buildings, which was sucking out, I think, 7 ducats per month. So they are currently inactive. I did not want to stop the force, though. I don't want to tear them down, because we're going to need them to hold the Swedes back if things turn against us. Right. 4 more months. That's good. We did have Scotland's arrival before, with intent to kind of unify with England and maybe bring them in against the Swedes. Of course, that all changed, right? As soon as Norway declared war, at which point we, you know, ended the rivalry with Scotland and moved it back to Norway, the first time, right? It seems like the Folketing members of Slaggersail, those staunch parties of supporters' cause, just a little while ago have changed their minds, I see. There we go, 20. Alright, let's bring up our armies. Let's see, all the maintenance is ready. I'm not going to spend anything on Navy, we just have a few hulks, and I think we can actually move across without, you know, any ships. I think so. But we'll see, Well, in modern times, clearly. But maybe not back then, right? So we do have a couple of hogs here. Or cogs, right. So, I don't know, Navy 0.39. I'm going to just, hope to sneak them across. Yeah, so the building maintenance. So these are, the interesting thing is, these are kind of marketplaces. And yes, we have expense in Lund, but it's also giving us 5.8 income in general, right? So I think it off-puts the cost of the building, so you just need more income, basically. But interest is from the loans we started with, and the ones we accrued. So I think you start with minus, like a loan at 300 or 350. We've had to take out a few more just to kind of keep floating this far. So I'm hoping we can turn things around with innovation. I did think we have a diplomat. Turns out we don't. That's unfortunate. Okay. In that case, we'll have to wait just a little bit longer. We need one to declare war. Or create casus belli, those sort of things. Let's see, who is this? Cabinet member. Good education at your charmer made him a more appropriate option to the throne. The government of a nation is as difficult and delicate as collecting roses without touching a single thorn. And sometimes one is just not born with it. Maybe we could use one of those thorns. Yeah, so he's worried about being dethroned. Less greedy if he is. Okay, so that improves some of the opinions of our neighbors. And, whoa, okay, that just popped up really high suddenly. Alright, so let's build a casus belli here if we need it. Destroy the enemy. Alright, so then we could drop the spending here. Check the local opinions we have. You can see we're in pretty good state in general with our neighbors, besides of course those which are currently our rivals. Might want to improve opinion with Poland. I haven't decided yet what to do with them, so let's send one down there. I think Lithuania is still going to be more target, so with intent of maybe getting the Teutonic Order on our side and then attacking Lithuania. But there is a market here, which I do have my eye on in Riga. That is a subsidiary of the Teutonic Order, so we can't get that unless we attack them, so I don't know. But then again, we do have a brand new market. It just opened up down here in Lund. See, what's the shortcut for this? Control S. Scania. Yeah, Lund. So brand new market. So if we capture that, that's going to be very good for us. We'll control trade and the trade passage. Just really want this income to turn around. I think it might also be because of the low stability. We get an unhappy states, so we can't tax them as much as normally, so that's going to play into this. Let's see, -10 for nobility or clergy. Yeah. Alright, we'll see how it goes. We'll see. Let's just stick to our guns. We'll try this strategy and it might sink Denmark. Who knows, right? A new outbreak back here again. Oh, it's reached us now, smallpox. That is not good. Just before war as well. When we need a man. The longer this goes on, the more our coffers is going to be drained. And we need a little bit of gold in reserve for the war, clearly. Assassination of Count Gerard III von Strauberg. It was a critical piece of Danish politics since he started getting involved in it, managing to be the hand behind not just one king but two. Since the death of King Christopher II Estridsson, he basically took control of the country. That did not sit well with many of Danes' nobility, who started to give their support to Valdemar Estridsson. Over the years, the situation became increasingly tenser, and threats of attempts to Count Gerard III's life became even more apparent. Let's see, what can we do with this here? We'll annex Schleswig. That's actually pretty good, I think. It's the region to the south, isn't it? Yeah. We were always planning to do that anyways. There's a bit of gold. We're going to switch out to king, but we will instead... But he has a really good stats as well. And he's 20, so it's a long way to go. I'm guessing this is the historical option. Okay, seemingly gained too many enemies. He dies, he becomes a king, we will annex. Okay, so instead of giving them control, we'll still get Schleswig, lose a bit of legitimacy, which is 0 as it is, so that's fine. Royal dowry for 10 years. Yeah, so it's a 10-year kind of payoff. Basically, instead of giving them 33% control overall. Yeah, let's go with the historical option. Our integration of Duchy of Schleswig has taken a fair bit of time, but now that Flensburg is a Danish town, it will reach its full potential and make our nation prosper even more. There are other countries that has not appreciated this expansion of our territory, though. Orderint dum metuan. I'm guessing that's Latin or something. Okay, our opinion goes down and every country, neighboring country drops their opinion. Okay, so we're gonna have to attack to the south as well by the looks of it. But we are expanding Denmark, and hopefully that will increase our income as well through taxation. So we got a new king. Which means I probably should update the picture of the king then, right? Let's try to take a screenshot of this. See if we can do some magic with that. But I really do like seeing these, you know, historical events and option coming into this. And, you know, it just kind of gives a bit more flavor. So I know there aren't any DLCs out yet for the game, which I'm really looking forward to. Because comparatively to EU4, right, there's so much more content in EU4, and there's a lot more... hey, Peace Penguin. Goat Mark. I think I'm not quite catching your meaning there. What do you mean the music? I'm in the process of updating the picture of our king. The prior king you see in the corner there on your window. He has just been assassinated. And this is a historical event, and King Valdemar IV here is taking his place. So we're in the mid-process, hopefully being able to update this picture to our new king instead. Denmark is just the best country to ever be. Yeah, it's a great place. I remember visiting Legoland when I was a kid, but I guess that didn't exist back in those days, in the time period playing here. But I'm looking forward to kind of trying this. We are playing Ironman here, and things are kind of on a knife's edge currently. It can really turn against us, and we might see the Kingdom of Denmark just collapse on financial burden. If my plan fails, the plan is to invade Sweden in about a year's time, and we're just kind of working on the casus belli here. No, I'm not Danish myself, no. Though I have visited. Are you Danish? I should ask, seeing as, you know, you did state that as the best country to ever be. So I feel it's a fair question. Yes. Okay. Well, I'll try my best not to put your country to shame then by really messing up the history by dying. We'll see how it goes. Alright, so let's switch up the picture. Hopefully this turns out okay. Did that update correctly? There we go. Maybe I'll move him a little bit. Let's see. Scroll. Do you play a lot of these EU games yourself, like EU4 or EU5? That's pretty good, right? Gotta bring him down just a little bit, like that. Perfect. Alright, let's unload. Yeah, EU5. Yeah, it's such a great game. I think I have about 250 plus hours, pushing on 300 at this point. But there's still so much. I'm learning new things every time, right? And now with playing the Danes, like I said just earlier, I really enjoy that there are some historical events locked in. You'll see like a little book icon to the left here of the choice, if that's the case. You do the Netherlands right now, and my hate towards France has 10x. Yeah, I believe there's a bit of a historical, you know, context for that. So yeah, I get it. I get it. I was a little bit tempted to play the Netherlands on this run, just because it's like this is just the country for building up like a strong economic base, and I'm kind of curious to delve deeper into the markets. Historica would be under Spanish rule right now. Ah, okay. I mean, the Netherlands had really good kind of, particularly around like the, you know, the years of the, you know, Caribbean pirates, right? 1400 something, 1450. Then they really started to bloom, right? Let's see, the years 46, I'll make it 246 trade income. Yeah, that's it, right? I am hoping to be able to pull something else similar with Denmark, particularly after I capture the strait here in Helsingborg and start taxing everybody going through. And then just kind of start expanding with like trading houses throughout Scandinavia to begin with. But we'll see how it goes, right? I know it's because like I am paying quite a bit for them, like 3.15. The thing is though, you know, they're going to be vital in case Sweden attacks back, right? Slow them down. So I've been reluctant to do it, even though I know it's probably the best choice. But I'm trying to pull off the gold in other ways, you know, through possibly raiding or forcing like you know, payouts from war reparations and those sort of things. 1341. How much time do we need for this? Looks like we're gonna start with another loan soon. Thing is with Denmark, if you try to play in them, they do start with a pretty large negative. You start with like minus 7 or 8 ducats per month, and you start with 350 ducats in a loan, and yeah, things just don't really start well, and you don't have much crown power because everything was kind of split up right during those times. Let's see, I just found something out of this Netherlands playthrough that embassies give diplo capacity. Yeah, I think they do actually. One thing I really like about EU5 is just so, because you have all these different systems, right? So it gives it a lot of depth. And each of them, you know, it's going to take you ages to get really good at. And I enjoy those sort of things, right? Let's see, Hans Lund has arrived. So it's coming from Sweden here, Lund being there. From Scandia, where he championed the cause to once again proclaim the rightful Danish rule over Skånland. With him in accord, he would be able to foster contacts with the cordial Danish members of the Scandinavian nobility. Interesting. Let's see, I'm allied to France, Castile, the Pope, and Hungary. Yeah, but not the Spanish, clearly. Since they're taking over your lands, right? Well, you got some strong alliances there. And of course they're going to build up their power through trade and, you know, the Hansa League and all that stuff, right? So that's your power right there, just gold, ducats. Have you started kind of offering out loans to, like, different regions? And making the income like that? He's more than welcome. So this will be the historical choice. Oh, you're trying, but nobody's in debt. Well, you should keep an eye out for wars, right? War is expensive, and that's often when they'll be needing a bit of flow into the coffer, so maybe you'll get a chance if a big war breaks out. Fingers crossed for you. Also, the banks are faster than me. Oh, that's a thing though, right? Because like the AI in the background is just going to straight away just shoot something outright. That would be good if they would patch that out to give the human a little bit more, like us, like the players, a little bit more time to actually do our thing. Because we have a lot of other things to keep an eye on as well, right? Alright, so we're going to end up with another loan here. Any structure we can stop. Yeah, if it's all the same to you, I won't share my nationality, like a sex location, any kind of doxing stuff, I'm simply not sharing. But I do share some, you know, fun stories and life events and thoughts every once in a while. Alright, here we go. I'm really hoping this won't upload the ship. We'll see how it goes. Almost there. So how Norwegians doing, I wonder, with their manpower? Okay, they have actually increased the size of their potential armies. Yeah, my accent's gonna be kind of hard to place. I have lived throughout the world quite a bit. So it's a bit of a mixing pot from all kinds of different regions. So, and it changes from day to day, really. And it will change depending who I'm speaking with as well. So a bit of a chameleon, I suppose, with how I speak. Yeah, it has confounded a lot of people. My accent, that is. Or pronunciation, rather. Okay, another loan. Come on, let's get this thing going. We need this war to start. So this might sink us or float us. So what I'm hoping is to kind of break off a part of Sweden in this first engagement. These are, like Scania, they are puppets of Sweden. I'm hoping to break them loose and make them possibly vassals to begin with. And then ask for some war reparations in gold. That's if the war goes well. What I'm noticing here is that their troop numbers are slowly going up. This is fine. This is a war far south that we really didn't participate in. We just joined for the sake of it, because our ally asked us to. Danish Civil War. Wait, so we're fighting 2 ships against 2 ships. Alright, so it seems the nobles are sending out their little fishing boat trolleys. They're hoping to sink our navy, apparently. That's interesting. I do hope it's not going to stop us actually sending our troops across, because that would not be good. Do you play in other Paradox titles, like House of Iron? Okay, Brandenburg's calling us into another war. Okay, this one might be a bit hairy. I was kind of hoping to have them join us in our war rather than the other way around. I think we'll have to join them though. They are a close ally of ours, and hopefully it won't be too bad. We'll see. Right, there's some troops being created here, I see. Speed it up a little bit. Alright, so here we have the nobles, and what sort of ships are we looking at? We're taking a look at 2 galleys. I just have cogs, right? So we can't actually sink this thing. We might have to create a couple of ships. Alright, we do have the sailors for it, but, you know, again, the gold is a problem, right? We do have a choice in the matter. Okay, so we need to take 4 loans if we want to take them out. I'm gonna leave them there for the time being. I'm thinking we can cross the strait with our ship. At least in the winter time, that would actually happen. They would move armies across as the sea ice would freeze between Helsingør and Helsingborg. That's good. A little bit less food consumption. Right. Okay, here we go. Alright, so they actually brought some troops here. We'll have to get our levies up in that case. Unfortunate. Wait, so these nobles are the actual troops I was trusting to bring into Sweden in, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. The bastards. That is not good. Not good at all. So we're now going to be losing the men we need, basically, fighting each other. So this might be a very short playthrough of Denmark, by the looks of it. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping I can bring a better general through. And our king is pretty good, I think. 84, right. We'll make him a general in this army we're just starting up here. And hopefully that will be enough to take them out. But that's also going to make it so that we can't attack Sweden anymore. King will go in. Get a bit of prestige for us as well. Okay, army maintenance is up. And now let's see how much we can move without actually Balance unit without needing a ship. Across we go. Age of Renaissance. Let's go for military focus. Okay, we're going to try and sneak them across with our cogs here. Hopefully we can. Looks like we're getting some allies from the south, so that should help us in this conflict. Right, we're gonna try to sneak out the ships here. Fingers crossed. Seeing as they only have 2 galleys here, we might be able to get them through, but it's a gamble. So this uprising is coming at the very worst time, I really must say. Had it been delayed by just half a year, we would have, you know, recruited these men to fight for us, and they would be off dying in Sweden rather than turning against us, so... not quite sure how this is going to turn out for us. Okay. Maybe if you say through this on the south. The enemy, the noble fleet went north, so I'm hoping if I sneak in on the south, I'll be able to get up here. One further, and then break up the army in smaller parts, move it across. Okay, that should do it, right? So these are the nobles, like, they basically the north part of Denmark broke up against us. That's very, very bad, isn't it? So my hope here is pretty much that our general will be good enough to, you know, make up the difference of these 2 armies. For that, I do need them to make it across, so we might have to capture this little port, so we can easily kind of jump onto the transports and make it across to the mainland of Denmark. Fortunately, we have Brandenburg, yes, that's Brandenburg, right, coming to help us out. It pays to have friends. Okay, so let's try it now. Can we go this way? Okay, looks like something's happening here. Finally. Alright, and we are currently deep in debt. I think about 452 cats at this point. So we're trying to sneak our troops here before we get noticed by the nobles, which have just arrived with their galleys. So we have about half our army across at this point. Come on, guys, you can do this. Yeah, so I'd much rather be fighting the Swedes, but that's the way, just the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. Oh boy. It's all falling apart. It's happening before my very eyes. But it looks like troops are starting to disband. Just simply due to lack of funds. And now these 46 are stuck on this side. Average medieval things. Yes, so true, Paulakis. Nice to see you, my friend. We're about to lose our Danish campaign here. What's happened is that I was planning to invade Sweden, made them a rival, but then Norway made us a rival as well as Sweden. So now I had double the number of people to deal with. Still doable, right? But during the process of trying to build up a casus belli and preparing for war, part of the nobility broke off and have now, well, become insurgents pretty much. And I'm now slowly losing control of Denmark entirely. And I'm in a soup of debts. Which has been, okay, looks like that's been cleared out, so that's a thing. This is the first time I've ever been bankrupt in EU5, so this is a new experience. That's pretty cool. Alright, so at least that's been cleared, but yeah, Denmark is a kind of tough start, I must say. They do start with quite a bit of debt, negative income, and I was unwilling to tear down my forts, and I think that might have been a death knell of all of it. The idea behind that was that if Swedes attack, I'll have ways to slow them down, right? But let's see. So now we just have one fort, right? How are we going to turn this around? Is it even possible, I wonder? Well, let's start by getting back Odense. Maybe you can negotiate with the nobles. Let's double check here. We have all the levies we can get. Yeah, so we have all the money we have available to us. I think we're in a spot of trouble, gents. This might not turn out for the best for us. At least our king will look good doing so. Now wearing armor since he's been made a general, which I think is a cool feature. Alright, let's speed it up a little bit. It's not like there's much we can do as such while we're trying to capture the fort. So have any of you guys tried Ironman games yet? I did play Brandenburg a bit of that. That went pretty good so far. But as you can tell, the Danish campaign hasn't started too strong. Here's my proposition to those rebellious bunch of nobles. We will publicly execute them and maybe, just maybe, banish the rest of their families. I agree with that, Pavlakis. Problem is, there's more of them than there are of us, so before we can start executing them, we need to regain control. Which I hope will happen eventually. But at this point we are in a bit of a spot, I must say. Let's speed up a little bit more. Can't really do anything but just wait this fort out to begin with. Our Majesty, County of Holstein Plön declares war upon us. Alliance broken. Oh shit. We're so dead. We are so dead. Oh, man. But this is the awesome thing with Ironman, though. There's just like, you know, you have to try to respond to what happens. And sometimes things don't turn your way. Let me move this a little bit there. Yeah, it doesn't really matter too much at this point. So at what point does one, you know, end the campaign? Decide, you know, this is it. This is as far as it's gonna go. War. Your Majesty, Prince Bishopry of Brema declares war upon us. We need to prepare for the battle. Oh, Jesus. This filthy horse and backstabbing worst shall remain censored. Snake. Yes, Paulocus. True words have never been spoken. So this is what remains of Denmark. Not much, as you can tell. And unfortunately as well, Brandenburg is occupied with another war, which we had to join, of course, because they're our ally. We can join an international organization, Athenia Independence. It's a bit far away, isn't it? Do we care about Athens at this point? All the way down in Greece? Okay, let's try to defend our lands here. We'll have to give up this fort for the time being. At least I want to fight these guys off. We shall go out in, you know, a blaze of glory. To our last man we shall fight. Which won't last very long by the looks of it. At least we can hopefully take a few of them with us. No, we are broken. Morale is so low and our troops are not being paid. So the superior force is broken, fleeing to the north. They will have none of this. They will no longer protect their king. His legitimacy has been defunct. I hope you guys are enjoying and reveling in my destruction as much as I am. It's kind of the same, entertaining to see how things can turn so quickly against you if loyalty of your men doesn't remain. Let's fight in Copenhagen. Let's make our last stand. And I wonder if our king will die as well in this fight. Denmark has lost. Do you actually get like a end game screen at some point once they take over everything and destroy your armies? Or is it simply, you know, you just decide to, you know, it's time to call it quits here? Do you guys know? Have you ever lost, like fully lost a game before? Because this would be my first one. Send scurrying back and forth. Let's see what happens when they capture everything. I'm kind of curious to see at this point. Clearly we will not be able to win this fight with everybody turning against us. These men that were supposed to join us in the war against Sweden. But instead they rose up against us half a year too early. They should have been dying on the Swedish frozen plains. But no, they had other plans. Let's see, well, King of Denmark is about to be burned alive by some peasants. I think so. It might actually be happening. We'll put the king in charge once more of this army here. We'll try to kick them out of Copenhagen. We will try at least. Looks like we have some allies that are coming in here. So maybe, just maybe, we can hold on the Roskilde and Copenhagen and this little island part. At least go out with a bit of dignity. Central line is breaking. Brandenburg is fleeing as well. It would seem the Danish crown has been fully broken. The strength of the kingdom's back has been snapped by its nobles. Those greedy, sniveling bastards. St. George's Knight's Uprising, Calamity has struck. In our possession Estonia. I think that's our last of our problems right now. But it looks like an interesting historic event. So, on the night of St. George in 1343, the native Estonian population... let's try that again. The native Estonian population rebelled against their Danish overlords and the various foreign nobles that ruled over them. To lead the rebellion, they selected 4 kings, who amongst themselves, who would later be lured into a trap and killed. The rebellion transcended the Danish borders and spread to the territories of the Livonian Order and the Ursel Islands. I think it's so cool to get these kind of historical kind of events in there. It just kind of brings the whole campaign to life, I think. Let's see, she'll pull out Ultimate Pro Gamer Russian move. Execute nobles before they even started thinking about revolting. I should have. Really should have. Maybe they'll bring in like Crusader Kings kind of nobility things you could do so you can actually execute your nobles more comfortably. If you see they're being kind of troublesome like these were. But we're in 3 wars, so this group rebelled, and the north part rebelled as well. And now all has fallen. So what should we play after this? Should we do another E5 game, try some Hearts of Iron, or something entirely different? Maybe some adventure gaming or horror gaming. But this has been horrific enough, I suppose. Okay, the Sufo piece, see what we can do here. How can we get out of this? Alright, we'll need to give up provinces to Sufo piece. From 1 to 10, how good is the horror game? I'm thinking about one of these, what's it called? I think it's called Man of Medan. It's about 5 years old, I think. It's a kind of horrific journey. So you make these kind of narrative choices, right? And your characters can die in horrific fashions, and some sort of kind of story plays out through that. It's supposed to be pretty good. I never did play it myself. I've seen some people play part of it, but I never actually played through it myself fully. I'm guessing maybe 7, 8 on a good day. Okay, so we can't actually ask for P-Chats. Until Dawn creators, sure, Medan. Yeah, so I'll do that then. Yeah, I picked up all those games. There was like a sale recently. I just thought, hey, it's about time I pick them up, right? I think Man of Medan is probably one of the weaker ones in the series from what I understand, but it's still good light, and it's the first one. It's either that or you can watch me fail horribly in Hearts of Iron 4. Which I'm not good at. Okay, so let's see. I don't think there's anything we can do. We gotta wait out. I just want to see how this ends, right? This order. Not everyone agrees with our religious doctrine. Some people are complaining loudly, calling our approach to modern ideas narrow-minded, and arguing that clinging to ancient philosophy is a regressive nonsense. Lose 12 stability. Okay. I think it's pretty much in the AI's hands at this point. We're just kind of waiting to see what happens when you truly, fully lose everything. Do we get an endgame scream? Is that a thing in EU5? I have no idea, but I think we're about to find out. Let's see, in Hearts 4 I'm currently playing TNO. I'm supposed to remember what that was. Rises again. The NATO rises again. Mod bringing back original versions of TNO, already created USA, South Africa, and now starting Germany. Yeah, I think in Hearts of Iron 4 I need to try to figure out a little bit more. I'm starting to kind of get some strategies like spearheading and supply lines, and I watched a few guys, read a bit up on it, played a few hours, right? I think about 40 hours in or whatever. But that's like a super noob, right? In a Paradox game. But the problem I kind of find with Hearts of Iron 4, or Hearts of Iron in general, it kind of seems like everything I do is just like an incremental increase in unit strength, right? You just kind of slightly trying to increase unit strength, and then it just ends up a bit like a mothball of attacks here and there. So it feels kind of unwieldy, I suppose. I don't know if like that's just like my lack of experience in the game, or if you kind of feel the same when you play the game. Like, do you feel like a very kind of specific, like, I know what I want to do and I know how I want to do it, and I'm actually putting it into action? Because I'm kind of missing that part in Hearts of Iron. Whereas in EU, I get that. Like, I'll have like an idea, I form grand strategies, and I kind of watch them play out. Sometimes they work, sometimes they do not, like in this particular instance. But it's, I think that's the part I enjoy the most, right? Building towards something and seeing the goal kind of materialize. And I find that kind of hard in Hearts of Iron. I know I've said a lot of things, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on kind of that perspective or kind of viewpoint Paradox is. Without having to type out like a 2-page essay, right? It's taking them a while to finish us off here. What's taking them so long? Is this just the Fort in Copenhagen? I think I might actually try Denmark again at some point. This was a really fun game, short one, but a very challenging start. But I might try to do things a little bit differently next time, and maybe it'll kind of turn out better. So I'm kind of curious to see if I can't do this a little bit better, right? Let's see, Hearts of Iron 4 is creating your own crazy division template, trying it out, choosing military high command, and either win or die. Yeah, I suppose that would be the enjoyment of it then, right? You're kind of structuring like these kind of unique kind of army setups, which you're trying to like maximize efficiency against whatever troops you deal with, right? Yeah, okay. So maybe I just need to play it a bit more. Maybe that's like my weakness in Hearts of Iron. I just haven't spent enough hours in it. Alright, nobles, let's get this over with. Come now. Execute your king. Or fall on his sword and beg for forgiveness. It could happen, right? You will understand it at some point. Yeah, I think that's probably right, Pavlok. It's probably just that's right. I haven't spent enough time playing it. Because there's so many people out there who just love the game to bits, right? I'm not feeling it yet. And I guess it might just be because, like, it's... You know, I don't really feel like I have anything under control there yet. I don't really feel like I know, you know, what I want to accomplish and how to do it at this point. Just don't play USSR or UK as a beginner. Okay. So I played, do you reckon it's a good idea to play Italy again? So I played it once, right? Halfway through the war. From personal experience. Yeah, was it like a harsh life lesson in the start? Yeah, it kind of looks like they're never gonna finish this war off, right? We have no army. We've lost all our military might now. It's basically just a king sitting in Roskilde. I highlight him, and he's highlight in Roskilde. He's sitting there on his throne, waiting for them to come and break through the gates and into his throne room and to finally put an end to this. But he doesn't look like bother. Look at me. He's like, you know, it's fine. I'll have some, like Danish, like fish. They put fish on bread, right? In Denmark, they have this whole thing going on there. Let's see. As UK, everything seems cool and easy until you realize you have colonies that start revolting. As USSR, prepare for a very long campaign. Yeah, that's just way too big a country for me to start with, I think. Let's see, our generals are concerned that our forces on the Navy is hurting our army. You don't have we don't have a Navy. We don't have any forces, so I think we're okay. Either way. Okay, I'm just about ready to wrap this up, I think. This is all that remains of Denmark. Nothing really. Blood is thick in the water. The current war with the Danish nobles had triggered a round of intrigues in the Danish courts. On the one hand, Magnus Christopherson, our Danish minister, has offered to draw information from his network of contacts in the Danish nobles. A considerable network, he claims, including several contacts close to the king, to aid the war effort. And there is no war effort left. Last time I played Russia, I took out Axis, Japan faction, allies, and only China left. But it was 1952, and it was my 2k divisions versus 1.5k Chinese. That just sounds like a grind. Yeah, China lacks supply hubs, so more soldiers were starving for 5 years. That sounds historically accurate. Yeah, so that's kind of another point I hear a lot of people talk about, like endgame. That you just end up with these kind of just endless amounts of divisions just slogging it out at the front line. And 100 generals, right? That doesn't sound too fun to me, to be honest. I kind of enjoy things a little bit more compact. Let's see, on the other hand, his political opponents has raised doubts about his loyalty. They argue that, in spite of his previous exemplary service, we simply cannot trust the Danish to participate in deliberations of nations important at this time. They therefore demand that he is banished from courts. We will banish him. And we will actually forfeit this campaign. It would seem the nobles were, you know, sort of our end, our death. So half a year before we invaded Sweden, they turned against us. Instead of dying on the battlefield as the Swedes, they captured the lands of the Danes, and now Our king, which doesn't seem to be very bothered, which has lost his navy, his army, his everything, sits on the throne still with a bit of a smirk on his face, eating sandwiches with little pieces of fish on it, and good Danish ale. And I think that's the way we're going to end this campaign, for there is simply no way turning this around at this point. This was a really kind of fun little playthrough on Ironman, which unfortunately turns against us, but that's why we play Ironman, so we can't save scum and we just deal with whatever comes our way. So hope you guys enjoyed that little playthrough. We'll probably try the Danes again, do some slightly different strategies, and kind of expect the Norwegians to turn against us as well, and take that into our general plans. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a very short break, and we're actually going to play a horror game, so something very different. You're all welcome to check that out, of course, but it depends on your preference, right? So I'm going to stop the stream, and I'll launch it up in a few minutes with that different game. So yeah, with that said, I'll catch you hopefully in a little bit. That aside, take care, and I'll see you next one. Bye for now.